Frank and the vice president then discuss the interview and the need to find a replacement for Peter. Frank suggests to the vice president that he could be the man to take Peter's place, after Peter is made to look weak. Meanwhile, Claire finds Peter Russo in a disheveled apartment, intoxicated. She tries to persuade him to do a requested interview, reminding him that his co-worker's campaign team could be out of a job, but he refuses. Claire takes away his alcohol, hoping to get him back on track, questioning why she is working so hard for him. Afterward, Claire meets Adam in a park, where they discuss her life and her relationship with Francis, while Peter Russo is seen in the distance. Doug then informs Claire that the president knows where she is. Later in the Oval Office, President Walker, Linda Vasquez, and Doug discuss the situation with Peter Russo and a plan for his resignation. They agree it must look like Walker isn't pushing Russo out, but that Russo should resign if he loses the election. President Underwood is on the phone discussing the Peter Russo situation, who is in trouble due to an interview, and the suggestion to remove Peter from his position. Meanwhile, Peter Russo purchases alcohol from a man and discusses his problems. Frank is then shown relaxing at home, while Claire is painting in a disheveled state. Claire then arrives at Frank Underwood's residence, and they have a brief conversation before she goes to the bathroom to fix her appearance. Claire's relationship with Adam is strained as she continues to be with Francis, and he expresses his pain at being used as a temporary escape. He confronts her about Francis's presence even when he's physically absent. Meanwhile, Frank is manipulating Zoe, having her try on a dress meant for his wife, Claire, and subtly directing her actions, reminding her of their professional ties. Frank and Claire have a private conversation later that night. Linda confronts Frank about Russo's situation, suspecting Frank orchestrated it to position himself as vice president. Frank doesn't deny his ambition and subtly leverages Linda's past favor to him. Claire and Adam discuss Russo, and Claire suspects Francis's involvement in Russo's downfall. Adam, unable to continue their unsustainable dynamic, ends his relationship with Claire, demanding she fully commit or let him go. Doug, distraught over his actions regarding Russo, calls Christina and speaks to Sarah, Russo's daughter. Overcome with guilt, Doug realizes the gravity of his manipulation and its impact on Russo's family. Distraught, Doug attempts to call Christina, but she doesn't answer. Feeling unwell, Peter Russo calls his ex-wife, Amato, admitting he's near their children's home but evading whether he will stay. Seeking to be held accountable, Peter turns himself in for drunk driving at a police station, but the desk sergeant refuses to rearrest him. Peter insists he drove drunk to the station, demanding to be arrested, which prompts the officers to recognize him as a congressman and treat him with more respect. Meanwhile, Doug discovers Peter's phone outside Christina Gallagher's home with no sign of Peter and informs Frank of the situation. Frank learns the president wants to meet with him in the morning. Adding pressure to the situation, Claire is interviewed about her past relationship with Peter, describing it as a brief period that ended because he was married, making her uncomfortable. Doug then confirms to Frank that an investigation into Peter is underway, and the president intends to make his own announcement, leading Frank to instruct Doug to ensure Peter accepts their help. The next morning, Peter is found unconscious in the back seat of a car, and Doug retrieves him in a parking garage. Frank questions Doug about their previous meeting and confirms the agreed-upon timeline of events before dismissing him. Later, Claire informs Frank of Peter's death, revealed to her by Linda Vasquez, and that the president wishes to meet with Frank the following morning. President Walker, Vice President Underwood, and Linda discuss Peter Russo's disappearance in the Oval Office. Underwood expresses his worry, as Russo has been missing for 2 days. Linda states she is activating their people to find him. They need information to prepare a statement for when Russo reappears, but news arrives that Russo is dead, having committed suicide by asphyxiation. Underwood expresses his sorrow and says Russo will be mourned. Linda says they have to be respectful to Russo's family. Claire texts Underwood. They found Peter this morning in his garage with the engine running and coming home. Claire leaves Adam, who is asleep in bed, and puts on a black dress and coat. Underwood returns home. He and Claire embrace inside their house before Underwood faces the gathering media outside.